Be groovy, comment, like, share, subscribe.
The modern entertainment industry is a behemoth, churning out content at an unprecedented rate. Yet, for all its scale and spectacle, it has been subject to a myriad of criticisms, especially when compared to earlier eras in entertainment. These critiques often boil down to a handful of recurring issues: lack of variety and originality, over-reliance on computer-generated visual effects, an excessive number of remakes, reboots, and spin-offs, scarcity of new ideas, and ham-fisted attempts at social and political commentary. The entertainment industry could learn a lot from the past, especially the 1970s.
Initiate sequence. Retrotron Entertainment presents
That 70s Nerd! One of the primary complaints levied against modern entertainment is the lack of originality. Major studios have become increasingly risk-averse, opting for guaranteed returns on investment rather than taking chances on new ideas. This has led to a landscape populated by films and TV shows that often feel like they've been copy-pasted from a template. Another common criticism is the industry's heavy reliance on computer-generated imagery. While visual effects have made some truly stunning sequences possible, audiences and critics argue that these sequences come at the cost of storytelling and emotional resonance. The trend toward remakes and reboots is another sticking point. Hollywood has churned out numerous reboots like Ghostbusters, Lion King, and many others, which have been met with a mixed reception and increasingly box office failure. The tendency to prioritize franchises has created a lack of new intellectual property. Exceptional original films, like Moon in 2009, are becoming rarities as studios opt for the safety of established IPs. These audience concerns and complaints point to an underlying tension between the pursuit of financial gain and political relevance and the creative aspects of filmmaking and storytelling, leading many to long for the entertainment of previous eras, such as the 1970s, a decade viewed by many as a golden age of entertainment. In contrast to the modern entertainment industry's focus on franchise building and blockbuster spectacles, the 1970s were a playground for creators who wanted to take risks, address societal issues meaningfully, and push artistic boundaries. This decade was characterized by a level of diversity in subject matter and genre that seems staggering by today's standards. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Rocky showcased the versatility and depth American cinema was capable of. Even within genres, films were differentiated by their content, tone, and distinct visual style. Compare The Outlaw Josie Wales to Missouri Breaks, or Logan's Run to The Black Hole. While today's industry often leans too heavily on CGI, the 1970s utilized practical effects and groundbreaking techniques to achieve visually stunning results. The visual effects pioneered in the 1970s remain revered to this day. The 70s had its share of socially and politically charged cinema, but these films didn't let the messages overwhelm the medium. Movies like Network and Conquest of the Planet of the Apes offered a critical look at the media and themes of racial and social equality, respectively, while maintaining compelling and entertaining narratives. While not entirely absent, the trend of rebooting and sequelizing films was less prominent in the 1970s. Instead, the industry focused more on original scripts and adaptations. This allowed for the birth of now legendary films like Taxi Driver and Apocalypse Now, which didn't rely on pre-existing intellectual property, but still had a profound cultural impact. The 1970s offered an entertainment landscape rich in originality, variety, and emotional depth. Films from this decade didn't just aim to dazzle audiences with visual effects, but also sought to challenge them intellectually and emotionally. Social and political commentaries were woven seamlessly into the storytelling, and there was a greater willingness to venture into unexplored thematic territories. Today's entertainment industry appears to be caught in a perpetual cycle of appealing to a younger audience, a strategy driven by the enormous financial success of previous blockbuster movies and TV shows targeted towards preteens and young adults. While there's undeniable value in content tailored for younger viewers, this skewed focus raises concerns about the oversimplification of narrative themes and the sidelining of intellectual content in mainstream media. Nowhere is the industry's focus on younger audiences more apparent than in the domination of superhero and fantasy genres. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, for instance, has seen tremendous success over the past decade. From The Avengers to Spider-Man Far From Home, these films, while entertaining and often critically acclaimed, have an unmistakable youth-oriented slant. Even darker, more mature offerings within the genre, such as Joker, are exceptions rather than the rule. The emphasis on these genres doesn't end with superheroes. Fantasy series like The Witcher, Wheel of Time, The Rings of Power, and Willow are costly failures that illustrate a content model yielding diminishing returns. The recent success of Oppenheimer illustrates that audiences are hungry for more varied and intellectually stimulating content. This trend has not gone unnoticed by critics and audiences alike. There's been substantial criticism aimed at films and series that seem to have overt political messages and pander to younger audiences, often at the cost of richer storytelling. This has given rise to an era of YouTube critics who maintain channels as successful as Siskel and Ebert in their day. The 1970s was a decade that not only set a high bar for storytelling, but also aimed for a diverse audience. Unlike the present-day trend of targeting preteen and young adult viewers, filmmakers of the 70s seemed to acknowledge that maturity wasn't solely the province of adults. Even content created for younger audiences exhibited a complexity and depth that transcended age limits. When examining the landscape of films and television shows from the 1970s, it is noteworthy how even content intended for children was more mature in tone and theme. Films like Watership Down, an animated tale about rabbits surviving in a harsh world, did not shy away from showing the darker and more realistic aspects of life, such as death, loss, and the fight for survival. Other standouts include Ralph Bakshi's Wizards and The Lord of the Rings, the offbeat musical Bugsy Malone, and the Disney head-scratcher The Black Hole. While modern blockbusters often go for the low-hanging fruit of ideological good versus evil narratives, the 70s produced films that engaged with moral ambiguity in complex characters. Consider Dog Day Afternoon, a film based on a real-life bank heist. The movie doesn't just focus on the crime, but delves deeply into the motivations and vulnerabilities of its characters, making it difficult for the audience to easily categorize them as good or bad. Serpico features a noble but almost unlikable protagonist, and Taxi Driver offers up Travis Bickle, an iconic anti-hero. What stands out about the 1970s is the industry's underlying respect for the audience's intelligence and emotional capacity, regardless of age. The 1970s had a more balanced and mature approach to storytelling that stood in contrast to today's focus on younger audiences and canned ideological messages. Rather than talking down to viewers or simplifying narratives, the era presented films and television shows that could be enjoyed on multiple levels by multiple age groups. The modern entertainment industry can take valuable lessons from the 1970s. In many ways, the 1970s stand as a counterpoint to the shortcomings of the modern entertainment industry. Most importantly, what modern entertainment can learn is this: respect for the audience, respect their intelligence, respect their curiosity, respect their love for favorite characters, and respect the characters and stories themselves. That is what is most missing from modern entertainment. Bring back that respect, and we can all look forward to another golden age of entertainment. I've always believed that if you can't get what you want from anywhere else, then you have to make it yourself. That is why in 2024,
Retrotron Entertainment
is launching an all-new publishing imprint. Retrotron Fiction brings back the glory days of inexpensive, fun-to-read genre paperbacks. This is what you can expect from Retrotron Fiction. Each book is painstakingly designed to evoke the unparalleled paperback book design of the 1970s. You will have as much fun collecting and looking at these books as you do reading them. Each book will be about 200 pages, a quick read. Our motto is, little books, big stories. Each book will be available at an affordable price from all major online retailers, including Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Each series will be published on a regular schedule 3 times a year. Here's what you can look forward to from year 1. Galaxy Astra. Galaxy Astra is a good old-fashioned space opera on a massive scale, with a distinctly 70s style. Mind-bending, expansive lore, compelling characters, and exciting action mark this 10,000-year spanning saga a must-read. Volume 1 will introduce you to a universe of new heroes and villains. Galaxy Astra is comprised of 10 trilogies, but each trilogy can be read alone. If you miss classic Star Wars, you will love Galaxy Astra. The first 3 volumes will appear in January, February, and March of 2024. Dead Man's Cohort. Forget cyberpunk and steampunk. Dead Man's Cohort introduces a completely new science fiction genre, ancient futurism. If science fiction existed 2,000 years ago in the Roman Empire, it might have looked something like this. The Dead Man's Cohort is an elite unit of Imperial operatives who take on the most dangerous missions on the farthest edges of the Solar Empire. Imagine Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six and the Dirty Dozen crossed with Edgar Rice Burroughs and Gladiator. That's Dead Man's Cohort. Each volume is a standalone adventure that builds into a bigger narrative. The first 3 volumes will appear in June, July, and August of 2024. Tanasar. Tanasar is a throwback to the post-Tolkien high fantasy epics of the 70s and 80s. If you love in-depth world building and storytelling on an epic scale, you will love Tanasar. Tanasar combines traditional heroism with unique environments and a sprawling quest to tell a vast narrative through episodic, standalone novels. The first 3 volumes will appear October, November, and December of 2024. Retrotron Fiction doesn't subvert expectations, it surpasses them. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Stay tuned for announcements about the cool retro-themed tie-in merchandise that's coming.
Retrotron Entertainment
Is more than just a podcast. In 2024,
Retrotron Entertainment
will become an alternative source for family-friendly, action-packed, imaginative entertainment. Be sure to turn on notifications to receive updates on Retrotron releases, and keep your eye on the behind-the-scenes playlist for exclusive videos exploring the characters and lore of these exciting new series.